Today, I'm covering an extremely profitable subcategory of collectibles that I am almost positive you're not really paying attention to. And believe it or not, you're around them constantly, whether it's yard sales you're going to, estate sales, thrift stores, they are all around you, but you are probably walking right by them. You're thinking, oh, they're just placemats. But let me prove to you the amazing profit potential with placemats by a sale I just made. Now look at these. They are plastic. They are thin. I sold them for $130.
Yay! Flippin' high, Grammy!
Okay, here's the spoiler alert. There are roughly 36,000 vintage placemat listings on eBay right now, but only about 3,700 have actually sold in the last 90 days. But stay with me here. That's not a great sell-through rate for anyone who doesn't know what they're looking at, but it is a massive opportunity for anyone who does. It's a huge opportunity for anyone who figures out which ones are worth it, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Mark my words, you're going to fall in love with hunting for this category because your takeaway from this video will be knowing how to find those top sellers. Now let's start with what I first showed you, $130 for just these plastic placemats. And here's the kicker. The artist's name is indeed listed on the back, but if the placemats would have had the artist's signature stamped on the front as well, which they sometimes are, they would have sold for even more. And a quick note before we go further, if you score a fabulous set of placemats like these, always check if the house has matching items by the same brand or designer, whether they're cloth napkins, a serving tray. This artist, Tea Cozy, alone sells for $80. And when you make a listing like this one, make sure to always put the brand and the designer in your title every single time. Not everyone searching for the brand knows the artist. Not everyone searching for this artist knows the brand. And you really need both. And fortunately for us resellers, placemats are almost always underpriced. You will rarely see them for more than a couple dollars at a time. And they're everywhere. You're going to start noticing them everywhere. That's because at one time everyone owned them. We all use them. So every time I'm at a house, a yard sale, I will head to the linens. I'll find them everywhere, but sometimes they're in the hall closet, the kitchen drawer, sometimes the bedrooms, even in the basement. You really want to check everywhere. But on top of that, you will almost always find more than one set in the pile. So what are you actually looking for? How are you going to score that really sells? And my eye for quality and detail is where I always begin. Color is my number one and first filter. Bright, vivid color will guide you to profit more often than you'd believe for all kinds of collectibles. And after color, it's the unusual factor for me. Is it unique in some way? Is it wooden? Is it feathered? If you look at this placemat I recently found, it should catch your eye. First of all, the feathers, I believe, are real, but it's just unique because how often do you see a feathered placemat? It's really well made. The colors are amazing. This one should catch your eye. Is the placemat retro? Like you just walked into your aunt's house in 1975. Once a set does catch your eye, though, examine that quality. That plastic set I sold looked high-end to me right off the bat because I'm guessing they were laser cut. They had these perfect edges and they were far sturdier and more refined than typical vinyl that you see. But when I flipped them over, the brand said they were made in Sweden. And the rule of thumb for me, always zero in if something is of Scandinavian origin. We're talking Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, of course, but products from Finland often have similar style, and they are well sought after by collectors as well. Now, after years in this business, I can spot Scandinavian design on site, even in jewelry, but if you're not quite there yet, study IKEA products. It's like a crash course in the Scandinavian aesthetic and IKEA placemats themselves sell fairly well on eBay. Now let's talk about wooden placemats. A lot of people consider these to be chargers. In the world of reselling, let's just treat them the same. They're just as collectible. But one of the top brands you want to look for is this one. I think you say Kakadu. I've sold multiple sets of them over the years, and one set of 4 that I sold actually had 2 of them with chips on them, and they still sold for $100. Here's just 3 of their placemats that recently sold for about $50, but I believe the seller could have made $100 simply because the colors were a lot more vivid than they usually are with this brand, and they're round. I would have started them at $100, and you can always bring the price down. You know I want you resellers to make top dollar for all of your hard work. And here's a quick success story about earning top dollar from a viewer. She said she took my advice on magazine listings to always put the model or celebrity's name in the listing's title if they're on the cover of the magazine or they're inside. You want people to know who is in that magazine. And she sold that single issue of Harper's Bazaar for $59. Something else that you want to be looking for when you're going through all these placemats is definitely beadwork. Remember, it's a lot harder to memorize a gazillion bolos than it is to keep developing your eye for quality and special. If they're beaded, does the beadwork look cheap to you, or are the beads securely stitched with beautiful colors? Does the beadwork lay flat? Now, not all placemats will be labeled or branded, so that's why it's important to learn quality above everything. And unfortunately, a lot of people actually cut the labels off of placemats, which won't necessarily hurt your sale if you know what you've got and you're listing them properly. I don't believe these placemats are by some familiar designer that we know, and they didn't attribute any designer in this particular listing. But look at this beadwork. It's, again, evenly done, and the colors are really great. And because placemats are everywhere, here's a tip for selling them in general. If you consider yourself a volume seller and are happy to list many modest items, let's say lots of $20 items are in your store, even some of the most basic vintage placemats are a great addition to your eBay store, because if they're clean and retro like these ones, they will eventually sell for that $20. Not to mention, placemats are the ideal in storage, very easy shipping. And even better if you can find placemats that, again, aren't spectacular, but they're really cute. Not long ago, I sold a set of homemade placemats with a retro daisy pattern and green piping. They actually sold for $40. And yes, they were homemade and not even very well sewn, but I know it's that mod retro fabric that sold them. If you're selling the more common retro ones like these, though, it's important to make sure that they're clean, or it will be much more difficult to make that sale. And whenever you're creating your listing for placemats, I recommend making your thumbnail a close-up photo of the prettiest part of the placemat to catch someone's eye. It's like they're window shopping and you want them to come into your store. If your thumbnail is a distant shot of all 6 placemats, for example, and you can barely see what they look like, you're really risking the chance of buyers just scrolling on by. Or you can do what I did with my recent sale and photograph all of them together, but you can see I still made them stand out by fanning 3 of them together next to the one on its own. Now, by far one of my favorite unexpected collectibles in this category are those paper placemats that people saved from restaurants. You can sometimes even find them in old scrapbooks. And if someone is hunting for that particular placemat, they will still buy it, even if it's got a bunch of fold marks or stains. It doesn't matter to them. They really are just thrilled to find that collectible. And by the way, I saw this listing recently that bundled a stack of vintage placemats and menus all together. Honestly, this seller left money on the table. Some of those pieces deserve to be sold individually, and this isn't criticism. Everyone should absolutely sell in the way that works for them, and bundling does move inventory faster. Just know what you're giving up when you do that. Keep an eye out for these old paper tray liners also, even McDonald's ones. These are great flips. This next type of placemats is easily recognizable if you've already got an eye for detail and quality, but here you will see some of the best needle arts you've ever seen in your life in these Madeira placemats that originate in Portugal. Some of them are just plain cream colored and tan, and even they go for a pretty penny. They're usually embroidered on either fine linen or organdy, which is that really sheer fabric. It's the perfect, unbelievable embroidery that's the giveaway on this one. So far, we've been focusing on vintage placemats here, but of course you want to target high-end designer placemats in general whenever you have an opportunity to get them. A designer like Mackenzie Childs is always a win-win, and I can't imagine scoring the ultra high-end placemats like these by Gucci. And again, don't forget that you want to make your thumbnail photo feature a close-up of the special part of the placemat. In this case, it would be the little signature you see. Actually, anytime you see a signature on the front of a placemat, you should consider getting them. Start comping perhaps. The Vera signature is always a good one to look into. Now, can you see why these placemats of hers sold for such excellent profits though? One set just screams the 1970s chic, and the retro is all the rage, but the other design is super bold and the signature stands out more than usual. And these aren't even cloth, both sets are vinyl. The design is everything no matter what placemats you're looking at. I was at an estate sale once that had tons and tons of April Cornell linens, so I bought every last piece for only $20 on the last day of the sale. It barely fit in a giant tote. It's a highly collectible brand, but even if your placemats are not April Cornell, but they're still that cottagecore style, the quilted floral type, they usually sell well. I think I've only got one set of the April Cornell left. Take note here, though, that I had lots of sets of matching napkins and placemats in that tote of April Cornell linens, but I knew I shouldn't list them as match sets, and here's why. Not one buyer bought both the set of napkins with the matching set of placemats. Sometimes they do, but in this case they did not. So I recommend listing everything separately, whether they're napkins or placemats, list them separately. You will definitely make more money that way. Now here's a bonus round for you. Check out these placemats. Are these beautiful or what? Would you know they're special though? Here's what would catch my eye. The bright colors, the shape, definitely the bold design. These could almost pass for a Scandinavian design, but they're made in the UK. I'm surprised they don't sell for more, so I consider it probably an anomaly. It may just be a designer who doesn't have a huge following. And before I get to the rest of this video, if you find this video helpful, please hit like, subscribe, drop a comment, or even just an emoji. YouTube's algorithm now rewards engagement more than ever, so your support genuinely helps my channel. I think this brand of placemats is among the most beautiful. I can't imagine anyone not noticing these works of art on their appearance alone. I believe the pronunciation is Di Porto. I've not found any yet out in the wild, but the florals are spectacular and they sell regularly for hundreds of dollars. I won't deep dive on this specific placemat today, but you want to keep them on your radar anytime you notice a high quality board style corkback placemat. Many of them are made in the UK, the good ones, but the higher end of those fetch over $100. Do you love denim placemats as much as I do? I think you can tell the era I'm from, but they do pretty well overall. If I ever find this Levi's model, though, it's on my bucket list. If I find them, I am definitely keeping them. Once you start hunting for placemats, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of placemats that aren't even branded or they've had the labels removed. But don't be too quick to dismiss all those cheap placemats, especially the holiday versions. A lot of them do eventually sell. The cuter, the more colorful, the more whimsical, they're your best bet. They might only sell for $20, but it is an easy sale. The best thing for you to do when you are listing placemats like these mass-produced pieces is to add as many descriptor keywords as possible to your title. Are they gingerbread style? Are they double-sided or reversible? And I haven't researched these placemats, but I would add words like patchwork and quilted to this title when I'm listing them, along with there's a little name right here, a little signature I've never heard of. Shirley Delph, I think is the name, and I'm not familiar with it, but someone might be looking for that artist. These placemats are also reversible, so I would add that keyword in the listings title too. Stoddard is one of the cutest vintage brands for placemats. They have adorable retro designs, and the ones I have here even have those winking lenticular eyes you can see here. They have a hit or miss sell-through rate on eBay, and sometimes they even sell as singles, but I'll probably sell this group as a set just because I don't think it's really worth the listing to sell them singly for, I don't know, $20 or whatever they might sell for, but they are just adorable. The name is always printed boldly on the front almost always. I've never seen them without the name printed boldly on the front, so they're easy to identify. And look at these 4 placemats that I found at an estate sale. I'm 99% sure they're leather. They're kind of an odd shape, but they're really interesting. Look at how nicely they're finished with no fraying on the edge. I'm not sure how they did that. And the backing is almost as nice as the front. When I was making this video, though, I noticed that 2 of them are trimmed. Who on earth would do that? I have no idea why they would do it, but you can see the jagged cuts here. That's a perfect example, though, that we can never be too careful when we're sourcing. You want to check and double check the item's condition. I'll still probably try to sell them, but I'll make sure, of course, that any potential buyer is fully aware of these haircuts they were given before I would ever ship them. And I love hearing that one of my videos helped you to spot something that you would have walked right past before. I hope this video did exactly that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.